What if someone came into your life and had been in your life for years and you'd always loved them and they'd always loved you, but for reasons you couldn't understand, you pushed them away. You broke up with them again and again and again. That's one common pattern for people who were abused and neglected as kids. Has this happened to you? Even when you want things to work out, you find yourself self-sabotaging. Why do you do that? And more importantly, how can you stop? My letter today is from a woman I'll call Larissa, and she writes, "Hi, Anna. I'm writing to ask for your advice on how to stop pushing love away. I've been dating the most amazing man I've ever met, ever," all caps. "He's so kind and gentle-spirited. We have had the hots for each other since I was 20, and he was 30. I'm now 44, so he's 54, okay? We have so much in common, and being near him calms me so much in a way, but also causes extreme nervousness in my belly. When he's around, I feel zero desire to drink and almost no desire to smoke, both of which I abuse intensely when I'm alone." Here comes the fairy pencil. Okay, I'm circling that and these facts. This is, I circle things. I'm going to read all the way through so I can hear where you're coming from, Larissa, and then I'll revisit some notes that I made here on the page, and I think I can help you. You write, "I don't know if I have limerence or what the heck is wrong with me. I've broken up with him like 10 times in 7 months. It's awful, but I can't seem to help it. These feelings are just too much. We're currently broken up and my heart is so sad. I'm so frustrated and angry at myself. He still comes by my store. Seeing him melts my heart and I just bawl after he leaves. I have to fix this, 4 exclamation points. He's emotionally scarred from a horrible marriage and even worse divorce where the mother of his children took him to court for the entire 18 years of his children's youth. So that even though he has a great job, he had very little money for himself all those years. Now his children are grown and he says he feels like he can date now. Before when he had no money and so much drama, he didn't think that it would be fair to anyone. I can tell he is as scared as I am. I was raised by an alcoholic mom and drug-addicted dad. They divorced on my 9th birthday. My father left my mom for another woman who spent 30 years doing everything she could to keep us from my dad. So at 9, I became the caregiver of my brother, who was a year younger, because my mom had to work at a bar and grill. We spent a large part of our time at the bar because no one could watch us. So we turned chairs into beds since we usually didn't get home until 3 or 4 in the morning. I was then responsible for getting my brother and myself ready for school hours later and was screamed at if I failed to be on time. Lots more terrible things happened that I don't have room to write about, but I now know they had their own CPTSD. It's been easy to forgive them, at least I'm trying to anyway. I then entered a 14-year loveless marriage, divorced 7 years ago, only to date men who turned out to be bums or kind of psycho. Bums or kind of psycho, yeah. I'm just laughing because it's just so true, right? Okay, been there. One was textbook narcissistic personality disorder, which I didn't know existed until he had me so screwed up mentally I thought I had literally lost my mind. I had to seek therapy, and I've been ravenous for healing ever since. Woohoo! It was intensely painful. I think that's where the fear of love is coming from. He was a liar, cheater, and manipulator. I'm still shocked. I could be so blind to it all. I love this letter. I know I have to stop drinking and have been trying. I've read Alan Carr's book and joined online communities, but it's been very hard. It feels hopeless at this point. I own a convenience store and sell liquor all day long. Selling the store doesn't feel like a great option at this point. My employees and customers are like family, and we all rely on each other. They are my rocks. It's all I've done since I was 20 years old. It's like home. Anyway, what are some things I can do to ease my fear of love? This man clearly loves me. I feel very much in love with him. He will not let me push him away. I think he's the one, but I want to be healthy mentally before we get too serious. Please help, and thank you for your content. I'm learning so much, Larissa. And love and gratitude. Yeah, what a friendly letter. Thank you. I love your predicament. I'm very happy for you. It seems like you have found love. And now the struggle part 2 begins, is how do you deal with it? And yes, I know that one too. And there are things you can do. So it really jumps out. You grew up with an alcoholic mom and drug addict dad, and your mom working in a bar and grill to support you guys, and having to bring you to work and sleeping on chairs and going home at 3 or 4 in the morning and then having to go to school. Oh, Larissa, I know what that's like, and that is so hard. And I'm proud of you because you own a store. You did take care of your brother. You pulled it together. You have a relationship. You know, it's so understandable that you have these wounds right now that make it hard for you to kind of sit still and let love develop, right? So understandable, but you have so many things going for you. The big thing you don't have going for you right now is sobriety. And so I think you know, I learned the daily practice I teach everybody. I learned it from a sober alcoholic woman. I'm not an alcoholic, but almost my whole family is alcoholic. And, you know, as far as I know, nobody's ever gotten sober. I don't know. We're like not even in touch. My family is so decimated by alcoholism and addiction. I don't even know what's going on with everybody. But I will say that the people that I've met in AA, like the woman who taught me how to recover and who I now pass on these techniques to everybody. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people are doing what we do now. That's what she taught me as how she got sober. She got sober in AA, and she worked the steps a little differently than, you know, everybody. There's many ways that people do AA. I noticed you didn't mention it. You mentioned Alan Carr. I know that he's well thought of, but it doesn't work for everybody. And the thing about AA is it's a community. And it's a community of people who have gotten sober. Some of them are still struggling with it. Some of them have long-term sobriety, and they can teach you how it's done. And everything that alcoholics tell me is that the only people that they would ever listen to is people who have actually experienced alcoholism themselves. And if somebody who had been a hopeless alcoholic and then became sober could tell them how they did it, that would be interesting to them. So I really recommend it to you. I know people in my family have checked it out and decided it wasn't for them and then kept on drinking, and they had their reasons, you know, like, I'm not like these people. I think if you really want to step up and be ready for love, that destabilizing effect of like all that drinking, smoking less so, but smoking, you know, a lot of people who get sober, they first deal with the alcohol and later the cigarettes when they can. When I first learned these daily practice techniques and I had horrible PTSD, I got better very fast, but I kept smoking for about 3 years. I was a heavy smoker. After about 3 years, then finally I had something going on and a miracle occurred and I was able to stop because I was a big smoker. I get it. Smoking is re-regulating. It's a crappy form of re-regulation. It's not very good, and it gives you cancer, and you know, you're not allowed to even do it inside. But that's part of the charm, isn't it? You get to like go stand outside and take a few deep breaths. So we got to find other things to do. And so there is a place where you can get that comfort and ease that alcohol brings in an environment that does not involve alcohol. It involves wisdom about how to live without it. And a happier bunch of people I have never seen. It's a great group. There are meetings that are very sad and depressing. Don't go to those. Check around. Go to different ones. It's the beautiful thing. I've always envied alcoholics because there's so many meetings. And, you know, I'm somebody affected by family alcoholism. There are fewer meetings. But there are meetings for us too, and you qualify for that. That's what they call in 12-step world a double winner. If you have alcoholism and you are affected by family alcoholism. But generally the wisdom is deal with the alcoholism first. Don't even worry about the other one. You're in any 12-step program, you're going to be working the same 12 steps. I've been talking a lot about 12-step recovery, and I just want to emphasize to anybody who checks it out, check out several meetings, get a sponsor and work the steps. If you've never worked the steps, you have never really done 12-step. I mean, literally, and it's about working the steps. And meetings that are depressing and sad are usually because there's too high a proportion of people who don't work the 12-step program. They're just there to like talk about their pain. And while everybody needs to talk, what the group is for is to carry the message of hope. So it's also very socializing. You can make women friends, and I encourage you, stick with the women, stick with the sober women, and learn from ones who seem to be able to have relationships themselves about how to do that. There's so much to learn about how to have a loving relationship. I had no idea. I used to think if I could just get married to a good guy, then it was just going to be smooth sailing, but it wasn't. There were some very bumpy years in the beginning, And I had the same thing. I was really like, I don't know, like what's the word? Skittish. I would get upset easily. I would very easily feel that, oh, you don't love me enough. And all my old stuff was coming up, and it was really hard for him to deal with. And luckily, we had enough good things in there and had taken our time before getting married that we had a strong relationship, that we got through that together and grew through it. And, you know, every marriage has its ups and downs, but that's okay. That's okay. What you say about this, the way he's very comforting to you, it's gone on for years. I love that. Well, I guess it could be an avoidance logic, but if he didn't have work and he had a lot of drama in his life, that sounds very irresponsible not to date you, but to do it now because he's free. I kind of like that. That sounds mature to me. So, but you both have been badly affected by trauma. You both are a little scared of intimacy. So here's some things that I would recommend to you. Don't move in. Have your own places. People who get all dysregulated and sort of triggered by intimacy, they need to have a space they can go to. So it's not time yet to move in. First, spend some time, at least a couple years, being in a relationship, but not living together, all right? And then try not to get, I don't know what your tendency is, if you don't get too enmeshed, you don't have to run away so hard. So we call that titration. If you would become a member, Larissa, that you could take all these courses, but I have one, it's about dysregulation, I have one about dating, I have one about connecting with people. The connecting one is all about, it's all about like how to have better connections and deal with that difficulty connecting and sticking around with people and setting up boundaries and then opening our hearts. All of that is challenging for people who grew up with trauma. That's normal. So one of the lessons in there is called titration, and titration is a word borrowed from medicine, and it means give a little at a time. So a way that you can date is like a couple times a week, you get together. When you talk on the phone, keep it to 30 minutes. Don't text all day. Have a couple of dates, have it be structured, and have those dates end. Don't get sexual yet. I don't know, maybe your relationship is already sexual, but that will often trigger old trauma wounds before you're ready to handle them. You can do this the old-fashioned slow way. Old-fashioned works very well for traumatized people. Who knows, maybe they all had PTSD in the old days and they knew how to do this, but you go very slowly and you keep your life going. Now, I like that you have a store. Yes, you sell alcohol. I know of alcoholics who sell alcohol for a living, and they're okay with it if they have sobriety. So that would be something to check with your AA group. But you have this family at work. I love that. You have friends to support you. It's not all coming from this one guy. But I think it sounds like you guys might be called to be together. That's what it sounds like to me. I would get support around that. You've done therapy before. Do you need counseling now? Do you need to be part of a group of friends where there are couples where they know you and they can support you as individuals and just kind of be behind you? I think that really helps. That really helps. Being a couple who's isolated from everybody else, whose problems are private or secret or not known to anybody, that's a pretty hard path. But with support and being willing to share with other people what's really going on in your life, having people who you can safely, privately share. We had an argument last night. It was really hard. I felt like I needed to break up with him. I've promised him I wouldn't do that again. People who will support you through those moments. We're designed to function as a tribe. So we have this person we love, and our tribe supports each of us, and it supports us as a couple. So set yourself up like that and go extra slow, double slow for people who are traumatized. And if you can, get that alcohol. Get free of it. Get free of it. I think if you would give AA a chance, you might just love it. Now, if you enjoyed Larissa's letter as much as I did, and you also have hope that true love, real love, is still something you want in your life, I have hope for that for people. And here's a video I made about that, and it's called "The Emptiness Inside You is Trying to Tell You Something." It's right here. I'll see you very soon.